was the bag of eDNA water being siphoned into? The person tuning in said they watched as water was poured into a small glass container, which needed to be continually refilled. Where did the water go?
Okay, so yeah, they must have been tuning in while we were filtering water from our last dive. So what we do is the Niskin bottles that are on the side of the vehicle, those capture the water at depth and trap it till we can get it back to the seafloor. So that bag they were seeing is called a whirl pack, and we collect the water out of the Niskin bottles to bring it in, just to get it from point A to point B into the lab, into those bags. And then the container they were seeing is actually a small sterile filter cup that we buy. It's actually plastic. And in that, at the bottom, is a nitrocellulose filter that's got pores that are 0.45 microns, so a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction of a centimeter in diameter. And we're pulling the water through that, and all the cells that are in the water that we're interested in are larger than that size. So they get trapped on that filter, and we just collect the water in a separate container. It eventually gets poured overboard. And we just keep the filter, and that contains all the genetic material, and that's actually our eDNA sample. And so then that gets preserved, and we'll take it back to the lab in Seattle and extract the DNA directly off the filter.
What kind of backlog do you have, Meredith, of samples? Like, will these get processed immediately once they're in the lab?
Yeah, my plan is I actually have samples from a couple cruises, including this one, and then 137 and 138, that as soon as I get back, the third week of July, I'm going to be right in the lab doing those extractions. So it'll take about 6 weeks to extract everything I've got a backlog of from the current field season. And then we'll be doing the amplifications and sequencing from there.
So back row, we're gonna do a little bit of a pilot training session here right now, just talking through some logistics on flying Herc and for Gibson here. So do you guys mind if we talk this through on SPL, or there's just no co-pilot or no trainer channel on
No, definitely talk on SPL. That would be awesome.
Do you want to put
be
the
training for all of us.
above camera on maybe so you can see the controls on 3?
okay, cool. Now it feels more pressure.
Have you ever taught a class, Jess?
If we don't do good on the quiz, Jess, we know whose fault it is.
Oh, yep. That's true. Okay, so a couple of things that I'm not sure. We'll just start from square one. We're constantly monitoring all these different feeds, right?
Yep.
And you've been doing that over in the Argus chair. One important one for you to keep an eye on now is one, where we're at spatially on the map, and two, where we're at spatially with ROV-nav. So that tells us like where we are positioned with location to the ship. For something so flat and sandy like this, you have a lot of play because there's really nothing in our sonars for eons.
Yes.
Yeah, for me, I like playing around with my joy gain a lot. So this is basically how responsive our thruster is to commands. We have a Z biased here, right, which you've seen people play around with a lot.
So negative 34.5 is keeping you at like a nice hover?
Yeah, it's like a nice stable hover with a little bit of float because we have a little bit of an upward slope. Yeah, and then everything else is just kind of getting a feel for the controls. Other things that we look at is, for instance, I always look down and position myself with relation to the bumper.
Right, okay.
So that gets me either a square shot, kind of, I want to get Mongo out of it a bit more. And then on flat and sandy like this, there's no real reason to look really far up.
Right.
Sorry, not to reset, because this thing wags to the left.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, and so honestly, when we're flying something so simple as a sediment, you just want to make sure that you're not like porpoising up in the water column, like up and then hard thrust down, that type of thing, because then you get like a sinusoidal drive.
Right.
And then, yeah, just kind of watching your shadows, make sure that you're not going to plow into the sediment and create a big dust cloud.
Gotcha. Yep.
So
you're not using any autos at the moment?
No, yeah. No, I generally don't like using my autos unless I'm like in a heavy current and I need to like maintain a heading and it's getting a bit hard, otherwise I'm going to kite or something. Yeah, it's more fun to just
totally
not have to use your autos. Yeah, so that's kind of the general lowdown, just watching shadows.
Starfish.
Oh, wow.
For these, like, you barely want to touch your toe if you do touch your toe on the ground because you're going to stir up sediment.
Yeah, understood.
So you just try to hover it, and then Kylie, would you mind turn on the porch and turn out the lasers? Thank you. Go ahead and push on in there, please.
So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Am I counting right?
Yes.
Cool.
And then
So are you hovering right now, or have you touched your
I've barely
toe?
touched my toe.
Gotcha.
And that's going to give me a little bit of stabilization.
Yeah.
But I don't want to force, you don't see any, let me center the shot up a bit more. Okay, go ahead and push on it a bit tighter. I don't want to like bury my bumper in it. Otherwise I'll have to clean it off.
Yeah, gotcha.
That's a nice zoom on see the texture of these echinoderms, all little feeler arms things. What are those called?
2 feet?
Yep, those are basically a vertical above their cousins to tube feet. They're still part of the water vascular system that they've pushed out through the texture in the kind of stiff calcium carbonate armature underneath. And this little structure is called the madreporite, and that's where it's bringing in water that it's pumping through the tube feet system.
Cool.
Didn't know that. Very cool. Go ahead and come by there, please. Yeah, generally the gist. And then other things is that if things are really far away, then you're going to get them really dark. If things are really close, then you're going to get really dark. So you don't like keep it in the
middle ground there.
The middle ground.
Herc altitude reads around 2 meters. Is that what you're kind of aiming to be level at?
Yeah, and there's an upward slope a wee bit too. So it's going to be slightly different. So we're actually a little bit more close in on the front.
Gotcha. And it's on the back that we're measuring the altitude, right?
Yeah.
Is that with the DVL, or how are we getting altitude?
Yeah.
Cool.
Other things. I'm trying to think of other tricks.
So because you have your Z bias set here, you're still making changes to the vertical thrusters there, or you're trying not to?
I do. So if I notice I'm like starting to go a little bit far away from the seafloor in one direction or the other, then I'll give like a
Give
slight,
it a bump.
Yeah, a bump, but not like a continuous command.
Something to your starboard side, yeah.
Oh yeah, Kylie, thank you.
No problem.
Good eye.
And so just like a little tire.
Womp. I thought it was going to be a big urchin.
Like a monster
I thought it was
urchin.
going to be a monster urchin.
But we can take a look at this rocky substrate here.
This is a anthropogenic, believe it or not, deposit.
Looks like a donut. Like not a full tire, just like a spare one.
I was thinking a donut urchin.
Roger.
So this is what happens when you try to drive off an atoll.
Can we get a brand on it?
Yeah, we're.
Yeah, who are we blaming?
Tell them to come get their stuff.
It looks like there's a bunch of encrusting red stuff.
Yeah, it's probably rusting.
Oh,
Or it could be paint that was some kind of hot red rims, and now,
That's what made me think it was a donut, you know, because the donut ones usually are red
yeah.
rimmed.
yeah. Interesting. I don't see a brand. Do you guys?
Look closer.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Still can't see a
We're
brand.
not moving until we find it.
It is interesting that things have called this home though now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
If anything.
There's a little bit of text that
Oh,
we
you
just
come
went
on
off to the up above, but you wouldn't be able to distinguish it under all the sediment.
Sure, yeah.
Chris, do you know how far we are from the atoll? Okay.
I had to drive really far to get
How many
out here.
miles is
Yeah.
that?
Go ahead and come wide there, please.
1.6, so like
That's good.
1.5 miles?
Raj.
No, 2 miles.
What's
2
all this like
miles.
hash over here? You think that's has any relation, or this is unrelated?
I don't know.
Raj.
The watch before had been wondering if you could see any evidence of the cleanup and all the years of activity. One tire.
Or send them a report they missed one.
All right. Go ahead and come wide there, full wide, please.
Okay, got your lights.
Thank you.
And where possible, do you prefer to adjust Zeus angle and panning with the vehicle rather than the actual functions?
Yeah, if we're close up, then I'll just change my heading around.
Just because it's smoother?
Smoother, yeah. But if I want to get a really tight shot and I'm already settled, then I'll change
Gotcha.
the pan and tilt.
Yep.
If they want to get like a really close up on polyps or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. So for that one, I didn't sit. I just was just kind of hovering and then floating around it.
Do you think a light adjustment or like a tilt up or something will get rid of that little lens flare you have on the top of the screen?
Yeah, tilt up will get us a lot of,
Worse.
or probably be that. Oh, I didn't finish my full rack out, that's why.
Rod. Well, it's still there though. Is it always there and I'm just noticing it now?
Is it from the highly reflective sediment?
Oh, it might be.
Yeah, it could be.
Oh yeah, it's gone there. Yeah, it's probably the sediment reflection.
Probably.
Sea star.
Sea star kicking its feet up.
You guys have a preference on which one you look at? Pen or star?
Well, I vote pen.
I do too.
All right. Here's the pen.
It is. It looks like a quill.
I love for the echinoderm right now, hey?
It looks like the same one we saw before.
I mean, technically this is the same pen we saw before too, but
Well, okay, fair.
That's true. Go
This
ahead,
one doesn't look as
Commissioner,
beefy
please.
though.
this is another penitula inflata.
What a cool name. Inflata.
Go ahead.
Penitula inflata. Like medulla oblongata.
Here's a fun trick. You can rack back if you want to get it better in the shot without moving your head around. Go ahead
What's
and push on it a
the
bit more.
structure in the middle called?
That's the central style, and then each of the frilly bits
Go
off
ahead
to
and
the left and
go
right
hold
are,
tight.
we call them polyp leaves.
Full zoom.
And
Raj.
so each one will have a certain number of polyps, and whether or not a C-pen has these leaf structures or the polyps come directly off the central style
Go ahead,
is
come wide,
one of the diagnostic characteristics for distinguishing species.
I really enjoy that kind of sea pen.
Some of that species, or some of that genus is bioluminescent, particularly the Penitula phosphorea.
Whereabouts on it would it be bioluminescent?
Oh, all over the whole thing. Like if you were to
Ooh.
brush it in the dark, the whole thing lights up.
Ooh, Christmas time.
Welcome to our watch.
Yeah, Gibson was like, is this what it's like on So the Floor?
I love it.
Part
Yes,
of
it is.
piloting the Hook is working with Kylie.
That's right.
I would say it's the best part.
Oh, thanks.
I would say it's a pretty, yes,
It's a highlight.
Definitely the highlight of the watch. If anything, I have someone to pity laugh at all my jokes.
I pity laugh for you if you pity laugh for me.
There you go.
That's what co-pilots are for.
So for that C-pen, you had the vertical thrusters pushing down constantly, and then were you just tweaking this to keep yourself centered for XY?
Yeah, but I didn't actually have to change my heading around too much, which is good.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Chris, you mind doing a DVL reset, please? So if you see a divergence here, then you can reset the things so that you get a kind of accurate position.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. We got to do a little DVL calibration. On these flat surfaces, it diverges pretty consistently to the right.
Raj.
And that's because it's using a reference with the USBL, or?
No, so it's doing that because, so like the DVL and ideally the DVL and the vehicle are mounted exactly parallel, right? So like if you go straight, all you read is a forward velocity, but what's happening is it's off that way a little bit. So when you go straight, it's reading a slight right velocity,
Have a zoom on the
which is
video.
why it
Sure thing.
constantly goes off to the right.
Gotcha.
Actually, we could probably figure that out
Go ahead and start your zoom there, please.
on this. Or probably get pretty close, just like with a pen and paper.
He's a curious little guy.
Does it have like teal colors to it, or is that just?
It has a black tip on the tail.
Yeah.
Some of those teal colors will be just highly reflective scales.
Gotcha. Well, I like
Look
his
at
color
the
scheme.
eyes.
Yeah.
And push it a little bit more in there, please.
He has eyes, but
That's
can
good.
he see?
Oh, with
light?
those eyes, I guarantee that fish can see light.
And that's because we're more shallow than we have been, so we can. That'll be characteristic of this.
Yeah.
Fish at these depths.
Yep.
Gotcha.
A lot of the deeper fish can probably see light as well. But this one, with those big eyes, is much more structurally using that for hunting and getting around.
Go ahead and come wide, please.
You know, Meredith, I was wondering about all like the.
So I made a cloud, so I'm gonna just dust it off like this.
All the things that you've learned about different animals and evolution and genomics, I was wondering if there's any takeaways from knowing all of that you apply to being a human and like the things that we need. Like, you know how you said you go out in the sun just to, because you know it's good for you? Are there any other sorts of ideas like that where you're like, I know because of the science that this is something I as an animal benefit from?
There's some stuff like, getting out in the sun, getting lots of sleep. I don't worry overly much about all kinds of like health fads because I kind of, know that my metabolism is what it is. And there's not much I can do now that my genome is kind of set the way it is to change that.
Right.
I was very, very excited to when I was able to get my vaccine because mRNA vaccines are kind of cool. And just following along my place in the animal kingdom, kind of.
Yeah.
There's a great book that I'll sometimes have students read by an author that was he's a fish paleontologist. His name's Neil Shubin. The book's titled Your Inner Fish. And it basically looks at all the structures in the human body that are kind of descended from various life forms along the way. So the one that blew my mind, and I'm sort of ashamed that I didn't know this until I read the book, is that all tetrapods, everything with 4 limbs, has the same sort of pattern of bones in their limbs. So there's like one long bone that goes from a shoulder to an elbow, and then there's 2 long bones that go from an elbow to some sort of a wrist. And then there's a bunch of small bones that make up some sort of a wrist, and then there's sort of long digits. So, if you if you look at the leg of a cat, it's the same. If you look at the arm of a bat, it's the same, and or a reptile. And like that's the sort of those homologous structures, I guess, they call them. That this book's all about. And it's a really cool book. Your Inner Fish.
Even like whales have like hip bones and things. They just grow so small now that it's inside the body, but they're still there.
Oh.
Yeah, or fingers.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Pretty much all mammals are just the same bones. It's just different bones are really long or really short depending on the need.
Well, and some of them form and then are reabsorbed during development. But yeah, if you watch the patterns of development, even in a Drosophila fly, what cell patterns turn on and off initially, those same patterns go all the way through the animal kingdom.
Also a 3-part documentary series on PBS.
So here's a question in the chat for our ROV pilots. Are there any ROV simulators like they have aircraft simulators to train on?
I don't know of any. That doesn't mean they don't exist, but
I know there's been a lot of like AUV simulators, which are maybe less fun to play.
Start.
But if you want to like do a little robotics project at home, they're good for that, but they're not
that's a different
super good
thing, yeah.
Yeah, you can still hook a joystick up to them and fly them around and stuff, but like, and I think even some of them have manipulators and stuff you can work, but.
I think the ROV simulator is what you're seeing right now on Channel 3.
Yeah, yeah. This is the closest you're gonna get, people. Now, it might exist in some places, or it might be a sort of like developing software sort of thing. I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't. Even still, I don't know that it'll teach you the same way like flying simulators might teach you, because every like work class ROV is has its own flavor of design and like thruster placement and abilities, and therefore learning to drive them is like a hands-on thing with that particular system.
Yeah, there has been a lot of interest in simulators, again, from like for ROV simulators and stuff too, from like a perception point of view. So like simulating sonars and how cameras work underwater and that sort of thing. But again, that's more for like a research sort of simulation where you're trying to work on new navigation and path planning techniques and stuff.
Okay, so speaking of simulators, back row, is it all right if I'm going to pass the sticks to Gibson for a few minutes and let him fly around on the sandy bottom here?
Of course, now seems the ideal time to do it.
Sure.
Great, thanks.
And if the folks at home want an HOV simulator, you can take a monitor into a closet and sit still for 8 to 12 hours.
Oh, that's funny.
Don't forget the sandwich. Food and water.
And an air conditioning unit so you can really crank down the temperature.
Yeah.
Gibson, when you get your headset on, my 2 cents of advice are, it took me a while to realize that you don't have to run to the end of your leash and then wait for Atalanta to catch up, that it's like about enjoying the sights.
Right.
And then as little input as possible makes for better video.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
No
I'm open
problem.
to all the 2 cents.
And I'll kind of keep my, I'm going to keep my heading the same for you, and I will just tilt down a little bit, and then
Thank you.
basically, in general, don't pilot by the view of Atalanta.
Right.
But for practicing purposes now, you can try to keep yourself in the box, and that will help.
Yeah, gotcha. That gives me a new perspective as I'm piloting Atalanta for Dan.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, that's kind of like a wild card situation. He doesn't need a box. He's a box breaker.
Yeah, he needs a cube.
Yeah.
So go ahead and kick it forward a bit.
Okay.
Just, yeah, feel free to get a feel of the controls. So like kick it forward, feel how the heading turns. Right now I have you at 64% joy gain, so it's pretty slow to response. If you want to feel how it feels at 100% joy gain, so you can kind of dial it back, that might be
Okay.
a way to do it.
Kick this thing into turbo.
Turbo mode.
Warp factor 5.
And then I'm just watching my altitude and I'll give it a little like pull up every once in a while.
Yeah, and you can also see on the shadows too, like
In the bubble cam there?
in the bubble cam, yeah. So you'll see kind of shadows here. Like
Yep.
if you're going far away, you'll see it get kind of green.
Yep.
And if you're getting too close, you're going to see it go really bright.
Gotcha.
Depending on your camera placement. And then on bubble, if you start to see your toe digging in, then we'll have you pull up.
Right.
Altitude, yeah, around 2 meter altitude.
So target?
Yeah, 1.5, 2 meters, both of which, keeping in mind that like kind of the slope's rising to your front.
Yep, understood.
So, yeah, just
That's a big sea pen over there.
Yeah, this is a whole field of sea pens and echinoderms.
Wow, look at the slope. That's quite something.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's definitely rising to your, well, not to your left.
Yeah.
That's why altimeter is really helpful, or the altitude is really helpful for certain things, but just keeping in mind where it's positioned on the vehicle and how far
Yeah,
your toe
understood.
is.
Does Herc generally fly with a bit of a forward tilt? Or is it pretty level?
It should be pretty level. That's what we aim for.
It flies with a forward tilt. I've seen this data a lot.
Really?
Yes.
I mean, it should, is what I say.
You guys generally have about like 3 degrees or something.
Right. That's why we put a bunch of lead all over it. And right now we're heavier in the back though, with all the leads, but this is still showing a degree tilt. Okay, Chris is right. Don't listen to me.
The data's right.
Listen to the data. we try to get as level as we can.
What is this thing?
More trash.
Trash?
I don't know. Go look at it.
Don't look at it?
No, definitely do.
Okay.
Go look at
Avert
it.
your eyes. Oh, sorry. Too late.
Avert your eyes. Yeah. So this one, you can go ahead
Looks
and
like
give
a widow star on a piece of debris.
it. Yeah. Looks like some human-made rubbish. So maybe I'll have you slurp on the shot. So for this one,
Okay.
you probably want to touch your toe in to the sediment.
Okay.
So kind of get it squared up in the middle and then touch your toe. And then we'll change your pan and tilt as needed.
I'm going to change the lighting.
Yeah, and Kylie will get all that.
So maybe I'll leave the lasers on for you so you can see where.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No worries.
And go ahead and go a little bit forward
A
on
little
that.
bit forward, roger.
So it's a little bit far away now.
Oh, I gotta
See
come
your
up a little
porch?
bit. Yeah, thank
so
you.
Just a whittle.
Thank you.
This is why we do car washes.
Yes,
Subsea car washes.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna drop her back down a little bit.
Okay, nice. That's all good. That's great.
I'll come off with the laser.
And then once you're ready, we'll have video zoom in.
Oh, sorry.
You're good.
I lost the bottom for a second.
All good.
Okay, I can get a half zoom there.
Half zoom.
Great. And then on this one, you can now, I'll push down on your camera a wee bit. It's going to be jumpy. Well, that's the first time it's not really jumpy, which is great. And your heading will eventually come around naturally. And then video can come on in some more.
All right, you can come on in.
Zooming in.
Nice. That's a weird brittle star.
Yeah, I like the yellow red, like.
Like snake-like.
It looks like on a soda can.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I can see it. It's saying, this is my soda can, nobody else touch.
I wonder what it's sitting on there. Some sort of metal.
Now we're speculating tin can.
Tin
soda
can.
Yeah, metal can of some sort.
We're obviously the marine debris experts here.
Yes.
So when you're ready to go ahead and call out full wide.
Full wide, please.
Full wide.
And then
Okay.
keep an eye on where you're at with relation to Atalanta.
Roger.
And then kind of start to head towards Atalanta if you can.
Okay. Yeah, having that box is actually very, very helpful.
Yeah. Like when we're like when we're wanting to get a lot of zooms, but we're moving kind of fast, I'll explain to science, like if Herc's at the bottom of the Atalanta screen, we don't have pennies in the zoom bank.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And if you're up at the top, we can
got lots.
make a withdrawal.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used that analogy a lot last cruise. Didn't we?
Yeah.
You've never offered us pennies in the Zoom bank.
It was on the it was maybe on my last watch. I definitely said it once this cruise, but we were saying it a lot on the last one.
Is that like watch bucks?
Like a lunch.
Or watch bucks?
We have watch bucks on our watch.
Oh, what's watch bucks?
I don't know. You
What
ever
is
like
that?
read Diary of a Wimpy Kid, the mom bucks?
No.
It's just like it's a currency that only matters in your little group. It's a competition who can accrue the most watch bucks.
Can we try to zoom on the fish?
Yeah, okay.
Right or left?
Left.
Left, coming over. I'm gonna bring my bottom down a little bit.
And these are fun because these you want to be a little bit floaty,
Okay.
just because they're also a wee bit floaty.
I can get a half zoom there.
And start pushing ahead a wee bit.
Yep.
Some more beautiful blue scales.
Okay, pull, oh, shoot. Sorry.
Not your fault,
Not your
really.
fault.
The
It would be
fish
your
decided to swim.
See if we can just swing over a little bit to the starboard side. There's another one.
Awesome. This
Nice.
one's cool too.
Yeah, and go ahead and drop back down a wee bit.
Okay, coming back down. It's a bit of a current.
Neoscopelus macrolepidotus.
I'm
Actually,
gonna
I'll be-
keep
Is that
down,
a hermit crab?
tilt down.
Yeah. I'll become a wee bit wider.
Do these fish have
and,
common names?
Get you a little bit squared up because
Or I guess we would have
otherwise
to
we'll run
just
out of
look
time
it up.
here.
Yeah, these ones I don't think do, but I will check.
Okay, now I'll try here. We'll probably just get its backside.
Whoa.
All good?
Very skittish.
Yeah, they're probably used to humans a little bit more. The other ones
Yeah.
are probably a little bit blinded by the lights.
I can get a half zoom there.
Half zoom.
You can go ahead full zoom.
This
What
one
is-
does have a common name. It's the
Nice.
large-scale
Thank you.
lanternfish.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, that's very pretty.
It's a very nice one.
Is that the same one we saw earlier this watch?
Yep.
Large scale lanternfish.
So is it a myctophid then? Does it have little photophores on its underside?
Oh, it probably
Does it make it?
does. I think the Neoscopelidae may be in one of
Nice.
that group.
So I'll start to have you mosey up a bit pretty soon.
All right. Can we go full wide?
Oh, it does have photophores. You can see
Full
'em.
wide.
The little white polka
It's a
dots
nice
along
zoom,
its
though.
belly.
It's really nice zoom. Then I'll have you get a little bit in front so we have some
Roger, coming up.
pennies in the zoom bank.
Because I'm full tilted down and even a little bit back. So I'm passing you.
Understood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna giddy up.
We're going to giddy up. All right.
And then you can see
Yes.
I appreciate that you planted a well-behaved fish to train on.
Hey.
You did a great job.
Don't take this away from me, Kevin.
No, you did perfect.
That was a very nice zoom.
I was a well-behaved fish, though.
There's a question in the chat. Can you adjust the buoyancy of Hercules, or are you using thrusters to change the depth?
Yeah, so we have a large old foam pack on us, and we kind of coarsely adjust the buoyancy, if you will. When we're on deck, when we're in the water, we also have some plates that we throw if we get too heavy. Then also, yeah, we use our thrusters a lot to, well, we have to use our thrusters to adjust, yeah, our position in the water column, how close we are to the seafloor, things like this. So a little bit of everything. We have some coarse adjustments with metal and ballast, and then some fine tuning with the thrusters.
That's a large sea pen too.
Oh, I'll put your lasers back on, sorry.
It's all right, thank you.
Turn the porch off.
So you just turn the porch light on for zooms and stuff that's right up in front there?
Yeah, otherwise it blows out the image.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It makes it hard for video to light if, especially on a like slope, if a sediment slope, if it's super bright down at the bottom, it'll be dark up in the corners. It's already going to be like that, so with the porch on, it just exacerbates that way.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But if you're going up a rocky slope, the porch can brighten the shadows under rocks, which is sometimes nice when you're going uphill.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And if you have like a cool coral up in your face, then you can also, I don't know why this is a helpful visual for me that no one else can see. Gibson's focusing on flying the vehicle and.
Oh, I'm watching.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Do we know what the gradient of the slope is?
Chris has fancy math sonars for this.
About like that. So, I don't know. I don't have a good way to measure angles exactly, but that maybe looks like 10 degrees.
No.
Get out your protractor. All this fancy math you do.
Is that a fish there or a sea pen? A sea pen.
Sea
Yeah, sea
pen.
pen.
Look at all the
More
sea
sea
pens.
pens on the horizon.
Yeah, seriously. Very cool.
There's probably more buried in the sediment.
Right. I hear in a previous watch, they watched a starfish, a sea star, predate on a sea pen, which would be hard to catch, I imagine.
What do you mean? Catch
Like,
them like
don't
physically?
they like tuck away really quick?
Oh, they can tuck away, but sea stars can dig them out. So can nudibranchs. There's
cool.
a couple nudibranch specialists that eat sea pens.
I'm really glad I'm not a benthic creature like that.
So I'm just watching where I am relative to Atalanta and taking some time to look around.
Yeah.
Find you something to zoom on.
Yeah, you got plenty pennies in the bank.
We got zoom pennies. Or, what's the word?
Pennies in the zoom bank.
Pennies
yeah.
in the zoom bank.
Yeah.
Zoom pennies.
Hello, I'd like to make a zoom withdrawal. Thank you.
Can you inform the sea pens we're here and they should come out, please?
I think they're already out for us, actually. We want a shark. We're trying to look for a shark.
Gotcha. So do we have Zeus tilted down a little bit right now? Is that right?
Yeah, so if we tilt it up more, it's going to get a lot of blue.
Ah, okay.
And then that'll also make you fly funnier, right? Because you're going to be looking up, trying to get closer to the seafloor, and then you're going to be plowing in.
Right.
So a couple people mentioned in the chat that there's a new game coming out, a ROV game called Sub ROV, and it's going to be available on Steam.
Fun.
So
Cool.
I guess you can check that out.
That's awesome.
I'd love to play that. Watch me like be really bad at playing it. You know what I mean? like using my mouse. I'm like, what? It's not a joystick.
Or just being like, this is totally unrealistic.
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
right. Like how Slash was like really bad at playing Guitar Hero. Like, same idea.
So I'm going to zig a bit to starboard just to come back under.
Yep.
I don't know how you're able to split your time between flying and grabbing samples. It's impressive. I'm hyper-focused on these two joysticks right now.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, things become a lot more straightforward after a while.
So
Just takes time.
So that's a downward slope in front of it? Is
Yeah.
my brain seeing that right?
Can
Okay.
you
a
try to
little
zoom on that fish?
Critter there, yeah. You can get a half zoom.
Absolutely.
And then it might be helpful for a tilt down on the camera.
Okay. How do I do that? Right.
Yep.
So tilt up or down?
Push the stick up.
Up. Oh,
If you want, I can tilt it while you get yourself stable again.
sorry.
You're good. That's good.
tighter?
Yeah, you come a little tighter.
Nice. It's an anguilliform, right? The little, I don't know, speculating on the biology here.
You know it better than I do. We're looking up what it might be.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's swimming pretty close to the sediment.
I think it's a halosaur.
Nice. If it helps for really tight zooms like this, you can also turn down the joy gain a wee bit.
Gotcha, just so you're less jumpy.
Mm-hmm.
Turn that down. Oh, we were up at 60. Okay.
And I'll have you start pulling ahead pretty soon.
Roger that. I'm going to come up. All right, can we go wide? Thank you.
Wide.
Good zoom.
You're welcome.
Nice. Yeah, really nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're crushing it.
You're doing great.
Thank you.
And then, there we go. The scaling lasers, we always have to make sure to put back on for
Right.
people that are post-processing this stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. The scaling lasers are really helpful because the stuff we've seen previously, it's really hard to tell just how massive those coral colonies were, but it's hard to believe sometimes.
Is it okay if I use your bubble?
Please do.
Okay, I'm going to do a gauge check.
Okay.
There's another one of those, I'm going to call them rainbow fish.
Yeah, there we are.
Large-scale lanternfish.
Oh, there, large-scale lanternfish.
You know, there's rumors of a lot of these fish chasing the lasers, but I've never seen it. Have you guys?
I have seen that, but only with shallow water fish. So in the Salish Sea, there's a fish called a kelp greenling, and it will chase scaling lasers for sure.
Wow.
I was surprised the cat shark didn't.
It's got the right name for it. Gauges are good?
Yeah, gauges are good.
Awesome.
We have an updated ID on the last fish.
Okay.
It's in the Congridae, it's a bathycongrus. It's a type of conger eel.
What's the prefix bathy mean?
Deep.
Deep.
Ah.
Ow. What's the suffix pathy mean?
Pathies is just the
Species?
it's the suffix for all the black corals.
Oh,
and
okay.
I think it has something to do with medicine, but I'll have to go back and check because in ancient Greek times, they used to grind up black coral skeletons for medicine.
Ooh.
Really? So black corals are also shallow
Ooh, what's
water? Or I don't know. Maybe they going this deep to get them.
No, not at all. There are a bunch of black coral species in the tropics that grow quite shallow. Like you can swim down to them shallow. I've seen them
Okay.
scuba diving off of Hawaii.
You got a half zoom there?
Absolutely.
Pretty.
Very nice.
Nice lanternfish.
Torchlight. Scale lasers.
Okay, you can go full.
Full zoom.
Oh, I like it.
See the white little pores along the belly? That'll be its photophores.
These
Photophores.
right here?
Yep.
Yeah,
What
okay.
what are light phores? Light
They're the light-producing organs.
Raj. Light producing organs.
Nice shot.
I really like their fins. They're kind of,
Yeah.
Yeah, very
Like
thin.
lily pad, like translucent
Yeah.
lily pads or something.
yeah.
And all that, how it looks all shimmery, all of those
Yeah.
scales are basically polished like a mirror, so they reflect the ambient light, which helps the fish blend into the background.
Oh, cool.
All right.
Ready to come wide?
Yeah.
All right, full wide, please.
Somebody was saying, Josh and Dave, I think, were telling me that like 5 to 7 seconds of like a zoom sort of like that is sort of perfect for a highlight for them.
Gotcha, so that's your target.
Well, I mean, approximately. But like if you're doing like a pan around a coral and like a pirouette and
What's
stuff like
this little
that,
guy
it's a
down
little
here?
different.
Yeah, that's true.
But if it's a static sort of image, maybe 7 seconds.
Yeah.
We still got time to check this guy out.
You tell me.
We're getting kind of close.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a little bit high.
And this is sloped up, remember? So it's
Roger.
like now we're sort of like the perception's changing a little bit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
But go ahead and zoom in on it. You got time.
Oh, sorry. I started turning away.
Still go get it. Go get it. Go get it.
Sorry.
It's too late.
So has it been the same sand substrate for the dive?
Yes.
Do you expect it goes all the way to Johnston?
It's going to go up to waypoint 2, then it's going to be a steep carbonate wall.
Gotcha.
So the sand ripples were kind of point-shaped, like arrow-shaped, and then they became these channels. What might have caused that change?
That's just going to be the way the local water flow is happening over them. So just little micro variations in water flow will cause that. Each of these like vertical channels is as the water moves kind of horizontally across the surface, it actually will have micro eddies of turbulence that build up sediment and scour it away into these ripples.
Yeah, the ripples are asymmetrical, and depending on the steeper side versus the shallower side, you can figure out which direction the current's moving.
Which way is which? Is the steep side the
The
up
steep
current or
side
down
is, yeah, pointing toward, well, the current's going into the steep side.
current? Okay.
And then, yeah, it pushes stuff up and deposits it on the other shallower slope side.
I'm going to ask for more sand zooms in the future.
So there's another question in the chat about Zeus. So who's Zeus on on Hercules?
It's our camera. It's our main HD camera. So when we say anything about the Zeus, it's referring to a camera.
Atalanta has a mini Zeus.
Atalanta does have a mini Zeus.
So how is the camera's ability to shoot lightning bolts?
Well, you can see 2 lightning bolts on the center of the screen right now. They're just green.
Exactly 10 centimeters apart.
So
Excellent aim.
In other words, immaculate.
Perfect every time.
Can we zoom in that sea pen
Yep.
with its
All
little
right.
buddy? Is that a crab?
buddy.
Okay.
Spot lobster.
You can go half zoom here.
Porch is on.
Thank you.
Lasers are off.
Love it.
Okay, you can come full.
Full zoom.
Look at that little guy.
So I'm getting a little blown around.
Just feasting in the shade.
It's doing good. You got your toe down, which is good.
Looks like a little spider crab.
Yeah.
Are spider crabs similar to kelp crabs? Or the same thing? Is that different?
I think they are somewhat closely related. I don't have my crab book with me.
So there's some snails that are moving in the foreground there.
There's a lot of snail cells floating around.
Oh.
Go ahead and push it in there a bit more, okay? Get a
Get a polyp shot.
it's a cool one.
Very gorgeous.
Little teeny tiny eyes on that spider crab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I just noticed.
All right. You probably want to start moving pretty soon.
All right, can we go full wide?
Full wide.
Thank you. So does the spider crab use that as sort of shelter, or what's happening there?
It's probably using it as a little shelter.
FYI, you're looking off to your starboard side with your HD Zeus.
Oh, thanks.
No worries.
Yeah,
So-
pull out, and then we'll get centered up on your camera.
Okay.
Oh, I'm a liar. Disregard.
No, you should pop up a little bit on your
Coming up a
HD.
bit. Oh, okay. Oh,
Just-
too much?
Just a wee bit down.
Yep.
It's touchy.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
So do these non-sessile creatures like the fish and
Come on.
the crabs show up in your eDNA analysis?
They do if I run markers for them,
Ah, cool.
which we will be running markers for the fish.
Good.
We, on some select samples, may also run just a generic 18S marker that'll pick up kind of all higher metazoans.
What's metazoan mean?
Multicellular life, basically, although it will pick up basically all eukaryotes, but we try to use a fragment that's more heavily weighted towards the metazoan community, so multicellular animals.
Okay.
Awesome, thank you.
Gotcha. Look at this movie guy here. It's crawling through the sand. Can I get a half zoom? You can go full.
Looks like a shrimp.
Wow.
Long, skinny legs.
And huge whiskers.
Huge. So those are snail tracks that we're seeing.
I don't know.
Yep.
Maybe.
Like those little skinny ones, like those like luge paths or something?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. You can see the path goes
Okay,
down to the snail.
All right, you can go wide.
Was that like a
Thank you.
hermit crab? Did you see that?
Moving around?
That was actually in the true crabs, and it looks like it might be one called Lamoho williamsi.
All right, so I'll have to get pulled out ahead again.
Okay.
You notice in your butt cam how you can see the tether up there?
I do, yeah, so it's really going straight up.
Yeah, so you'll, Kylie's on the winter now, but you'll come out of in front and then it'll kind of alleviate that as well.
Understood. Got to put some pennies back in the zoom bank.
Por favor.
The only thing to watch out for is if the tether comes up over
Yeah.
Atlanta, then we have a potential for it to get wrapped.
Okay.
So we don't want to do
We don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Roger that.
There have been instances of the tether around Herc.
Yeah,
Uh,
not ideal.
yeah. So anyway,
It's like some terrible straitjacket you don't want to be in. It's really not ideal. Like one time, hold on. It's a funny visual, I think. It has nothing to do with this at all. But I used to work at I used to work for the Department of Conservation and Recreation at like state parks and stuff doing maintenance. One of them was an urban park. So we had sprinklers to water the grass. You know how sprinklers go? They go in a direction, okay? And I was all tangled up in the hose attached to the sprinkler, and I couldn't get it to stop hitting me. Every time I turned it, I wrapped myself in the hose, and the sprinkler just kept coming.
Oh my god.
Sounds like that should be a scene in a golf course comedy.
I know, and I'm standing just off a highway, basically, just like making a buffoon of myself. What else is new, really? Oh, I forgot about that.
I have reenacted this scene at my house, but not in view of the highway.
It's just something, isn't it? Like, I'm a smart lady. I should be able to figure this out. No. Kink the hose, please. Somebody.
Here's another one of those train of cucumbers.
So Chanel, some of the viewers want to know about what the experience is like handling samples in the lab. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so we get to measure all the samples, which is kind of interesting because the scale obviously looks different on this screen than it does when you're actually holding the samples. So that's pretty cool. Polyps are tiny, small, and adorable, and I've really enjoyed that experience. But actually when I was younger and like in high school and I was taking biology and chemistry and physics, you know, all the basic classes that you take in high school, I was like, there is no way I'm ever going to be a biologist. I'm never going to go in a biology field. Dissections are disgusting. And here I am. So yeah, I struggle a little bit when some of it's kind of slimy, but you are like more mesmerized by how cool it is
Okay,
that you're
go
touching
full.
a deep sea creature, so it's easier to move on from that if that's something that you struggle with. So
Okay, come wide.
if you are turned away from biology because of dissections, you can still become a biologist. I'm living proof of that. But yeah, it is pretty cool and incredible to like hold something that you were just looking at and knowing that it was like meters and meters below you on the seafloor. It's a magical experience.
Okay. So here are some fun tidbits here. Is that there's a slope kind of going down, then a way to get kind of more light in the foreground is to turn more into the slope. So in this case, we want to see some forward way, but then you also want to see more slope. So I'd have you turn, in this case, turn to the port.
Roger.
And then I'd turn actually even more so we get less of the down slope.
Oh, and then lateral over instead.
And then, yeah, we'll just do more lateraling instead of...
Oh, okay. Thank you. That makes sense.
You know,
Is that a very large sea cucumber?
yeah, those ones are beefy.
Yes.
And then, so I'll have you get a little bit closer to the seafloor
Okay.
again. And then kind of rotate a bit into the slope.
Yep.
That's looking good.
Okay. And next time I want to go zigzag, just use laterals instead.
Yeah, you can still put it on forward way, but always kind of cut it into the slope. And if you're going down slope, you can turn and then kind of chase yourself down. But in this case, it's really
cool.
benign terrain.
I think I recall Dan saying something like it's like changing lanes on a highway, where you just want to keep looking ahead, but you can lateral left and right.
I guess that's a, yeah, that's a, yes.
I don't think I've used my lateral thrusters once yet.
No, all good. Yeah, it just, you can go ahead and try getting a feel for it. Try to maintain your heading and lateral around.
Thanks, Kylie.
So not all the samples that we collect are dissected, right, in the lab. Some are just preserved.
Yep, some of them we just measure them and then we put them in a bag or a jar and send them off to the repository.
Okay, what specific creatures have we dissected? I know we were dissecting the sea cucumbers, right? Or
Yep.
Lower.
Yeah, so the sea cucumbers are dissected. Liz could answer better than I could, but they look at the like gut microbiomes of the sea cucumber, so that's why we have to dissect those. And the sea urchins as well. They're looking at the gut microbiomes of sea urchins, so then, you know, they need to get the gut contents, which requires dissection. But I think that's all we've dissected so far. Anything else that was dissected is because it probably just like disintegrated or fell apart. So some of the anemones, I think that's how you say it, just kind of fall apart when you take them up to the surface from such depths. But that's usually not intentional.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, dissection is not a typical thing that's done here. It's specific to a project that's being undertaken in this expedition right now. Sorry.
Says the guy who's dissecting rocks.
Now, rock dissections, that is a fine scale art involving big rock source.
It's a literal dissection. He's cutting them in half.
Yeah, I am cutting into sections.
Thank you. You want to go half zoom?
Half zoom.
They look like friends.
They look like friends.
Another Pixar movie.
Yep.
Oh.
Actually, it's a 90s sitcom. They all live in apartments with brick walls on them.
What life lessons would they teach each other?
Yep. What you can't tell is the brittle store is a mess and the sea pen is very organized and uptight.
You can come in a little more.
Nice.
So I can now bring Zeus back on the rails a bit, right?
If you want to rack back, keep in mind though, it's gonna try to keep you looking up a wee bit.
Oh, okay. Oh, it'll hold that same, interesting.
Same pose, but you can fine tune it a wee bit. It depends on the angle that you're at.
Oh yeah, that's not gonna work very well.
I try it.
So that's retract.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that does okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna come up. You can go wide.
Oh,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
And then go ahead and rack pull out again.
Yeah, right. So, there?
All the way out.
All the way. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah. That's gonna get you good, and then great.
Come back down a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look, we got a swimming cucumber.
You have, go ahead and briefly look at it. We'll have you push ahead pretty soon.
Understood. Quick half zoom.
Mm-hmm. Nice. And you can just kind of fly into it a wee bit. Yeah, that's looking good.
All right, come on, sorry.
All good. They all just are dancers anyway. All right, we'll have you get out in front again.
Roger.
Then it'll be time for more zooms.
So how often do you have no pennies in the zoom bank and then just stop the ship instead? Try to avoid that?
Yeah, so we won't stop the ship if it's just for zooms, unless they want to take samples.
Oh, okay.
Unless it's like a very, very steep wall. The thing to note is that right now we're pretty shallow, we're at 700 meters, but usually, if we're at 3,000 meters, even if we stop the ship, it will be felt for about 7 minutes or so, 7 to 10. So it's more of a accountability for us to
stay
ourselves.
Okay.
That guy is still swimming behind us. He's in our starboard frame. He's just doing his thing.
Don't open the iris a wee bit there, please. Unhurt, please.
Is this something I'm supposed to do?
No, it's me.
Okay.
Yeah.
A halothurian is a salty what?
Is this a
Pickle,
setup for a
or
joke?
cucumber.
Well,
no,
this thurian-
hollow, not halo.
Halothurians are the sea cucumbers.
Hollow meaning there's nothing inside? Because I've seen some things inside it.
I think holo, like, entirely. H-O-L-O.
You think it's Greek or Latin?
It's Greek.
Okay.
Theria is Greek for wild beast.
So facing up.
So a
and
salty
then
wild
lateral
beast.
over.
Different sensation, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it doesn't mean whole or entire.
Whole entire wild beast.
Whole entire salty wild beast.
We could have gone with salty wild beasts, and we went with sea pickles. I'm just saying.
And we can make an amendment.
So the sea pickle is not a sea cucumber.
No, a sea pickle is
Protozoan.
no.
Oh,
It's actually a tunicate. It's a pelagic tunicate.
I've been lied to. I thought it was the same as mermaid fingers, Jessica. You've got some explaining to do.
What? Sorry, I was...
She was focusing on operating the ROVs.
I'll just apologize, though. I'm not sure what I'm apologizing for, but this is...
Good idea. But you guys know what mermaid fingers are?
I do not.
I want to say that sounds like a ice cream snack.
They're protozoans. Now I'm questioning my whole reality, but I think they're protozoans that
We want to go that way.
are like
Okay.
found in shallow waters. They're sort of like see-through-ish and have like ribs on them. They're like the shape of fingers, but they can be bigger. And they're that's really the extent of what I know about them. They've come up before on Argus during recoveries in warmer waters, and they are not really squishy, but they're just not super rigid. They're finger-like.
Huh. So we can bump our speed up by a work factor if you want to.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Yes, thank you.
I know you're all enthralled and entertained.
Work
Bridge
factor
nav,
4?
can we do 500
No.
meters, 095 at 0.3 knots?
Kevin, is there still a want to get a lot of visual assessment on these creatures, or can we go to like 0.4 knots? Or
What?
I guess we could probably go to 0.4 knots. So as we start seeing something new, we've kind of been seeing the same sea pens.
Yeah, I mean, it looks still pretty flat for a while there on the map. I don't know about you guys, but I want to get to the cliffs.
Yeah.
Let's get to
And also
the
we want to
cliffs.
pull up before it gets too dark outside.
Yeah.
Because seabirds will be attracted to the lights on the ship and will cover our ship.
How about we do 0.5 knots then? Is that okay with you guys?
All right. If something goes wrong, we know who's at the wheel.
Hey. It's like there wasn't enough pressure on it.
Gibson, just go twice as fast now. Right? It's like that first time you take a car on the highway.
Yeah, turn your joystick up. We'll get there.
All right.
Because I'm assuming you're not going to do any zooms or sampling, it looks like, around here. Correct?
Not unless we see
I mean, even if
something
we do it, we're
utterly
shallow, right?
spectacular.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, let's
we can
do
get
it.
stopped quick.
Let's do 0.5.
Bridge nav, increase speed 0.5.
You take it off. You're pulling on me.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I'll just have you lateral.
Roger.
Over.
So lateral over and look upslope.
Yep. Yeah, first get used to feeling your laterals, and then, yeah. Then you can worry about the visual acquisition.
So do you know the life cycle of sea pens?
Was that sea pens?
Sea pen, a sea pen?
I mean, it'll be much like a lot of the other cnidarian. So they will broadcast spawn larvae into the water column. That larvae will have a planular planktonic stage for a little while, and then it will settle and transform into a little tiny miniature version of those, and then just grow larger and larger.
Can it grow after it bombs? Like after it releases its bombs?
I think so. I don't think any of these are deterministic spawners. I think they can keep spawning year after year until they either just die of senescence or until something eats them.
So it's making all these bioherms at this depth. Is that the right term?
Yeah, it's the right term. I don't know what's making all the bioherms.
Bioherms?
There's little
Bumps.
bumps.
All the little lumps.
Oh.
Okay.
My guess would be worms, but there could also be echinoderms underneath.
So Gibson, as we prepare to get fly a bit faster,
Okay.
we'll just have you kind of maintain a good position out in front of the Atalanta,
Roger.
always in between the ship and Atalanta.
Okay.
No need to like tug on the tether and all, just it means that we'll have snap zooms of about 30 seconds or so, and then
Gotcha.
move on.
Okay.
You'll see actually it's a different type of flying because you'll kind of try to fly as gracefully as you've been doing, and then the ship will kind of swing over you, and then you'll just have to make your way as best you can. If it's
To the starboard side.
yeah, just kind of the way you've been going.
Okay.
And this will be really a good friend for you for that.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
It's interesting that the current really died down over here. We just got flat sand, very little ripple.
Yeah.
I was looking at the gauges, and in the last hour, we've come up a full 1.5 degrees in temperature, so I think we've moved into a slightly different water layer.
Can I get a half zoom there?
Half zoom.
Oh yeah, I see that. That's a sharp transition.
Ooh, sorry.
And we're at
Kelly, get the one on the right.
740 meters?
Correct.
You can stay there, Tim.
Stay in here.
Oh, was that my thrusters?
Mhm.
Darn.
That's why the sediments are, they get all stirred up, you know?
Yeah. Okay, you can come wide.
Coming wide. Yeah, definitely Pixar movie.
Yep.
Where they right there. You can almost see that thing just going, whoa.
It's happening again.
Is it involuntary gymnastic class?
Oh no, we lost it now. Did we see a shrimp?
What did I do?
It was the tumbling sea cucumber this
Sorry.
time.
Chanel has taken off.
That was a light
Sorry,
touch.
certain things that are found like shrimps. That's what I got. Shrimp and apparently tumbling sea cucumbers.
Sorry,
it's more
Chanel,
the-
trying to avoid those.
It's more the
And fish bumping into
imagination.
things.
Right.
Oh, that was awesome.
Face
Yeah.
plant was probably the biggest.
All right, go ahead and push ahead.
Push ahead. Roger.
Two distant echinoderm relatives hanging out together.
Oh, yeah.
Cousins.
You're doing good.
Oh, that's a big one.
Ready on the zoom.
Yeah, you should go ahead and push on in there before allowed to move.
Whoa.
Oh, interesting.
It's in my bubble.
All right, substrate.
Go ahead and push
Okay.
on ahead.
Pardon?
Go ahead, keep pushing ahead.
All right, you can come wide.
Coming wide.
What's that straight up on top?
Looks like an egg,
Yeah.
top left.
Roger.
It does look like an egg.
Sponge.
Baby bottle.
I'm guessing more
Go ahead and
seafloor
pop
debris.
down on your altitude.
Coming down.
Good. It's like a sponge, yeah.
Do you want to do a half zoom?
Yeah, it does look like a sponge. Oh, no,
No.
that's an anemone.
You can go full.
Is it? Oh,
Yeah,
with
it's all curled up. It's got its tentacles all tucked in.
Gotcha.
Looks like a rotary drill core.
All right, I'll have you.
All
go ahead
right,
and
come
wide.
wide.
And then go ahead and hop out, Brett.
Roger.
Do we know what fish that was?
Looks like another one of those eels.
For this one, you might
Yeah,
want
that's
to
another
start joining.
conger eel.
Conger eel.
So I'm gonna increase your joint gain,
Okay.
and I'll have you fly up a bit and push out.
Bathycongrus.
There you go.
Elected official.
Yep.
Get it? Fish. Official.
There you go. Maintain that speed for a minute there.
Roger.
So in a minute, I'll have you look at it. Right now, I'll have you worry about getting ahead. But there's a speed over ground on the ROV nav screen that'll point out.
Okay.
That'll tell you that right now you're doing great. You're doing 0.6 knots, so you're kind of making up for the the difference. And then once we get you furled ahead, then we'll have you just kind of drive at 0.5 knots.
Roger.
Sonars are clear. Nice.
Whoa, what's this?
Seaweed?
Seaweed. Yeah, this will have you get out ahead. so
Okay,
you won't have time
still
to
getting
zoom.
out ahead.
Go ahead and change your heading a little bit to starboard.
Coming to starboard.
It's more of those large-scale lanternfish.
Whoa.
Oh, that's a
And,
squid.
ooh,
No pennies.
No pennies, unfortunately.
pennies.
No pennies, Roger.
It's all good.
tell it to take its business elsewhere.
Yeah, we don't want it anyway. Chris, you want to slope the ship to 0.4?
Bridge nav, reduce speed, 0.4.
Alright. I'll have you still get out ahead.
Okay.
See, I knew you couldn't handle it.
No,
Oh.
that is not true.
I gotta say, it is a little fast.
No, you're
Just so much
doing,
interesting stuff we want to
Yeah,
see.
there's a
Quick
lot of
snap
cool
zoom here.
You're doing very well. No, this is great.
The
Neat.
big echinoderm with a large
All
scale
right,
lantern.
I'm going to continue on.
Yeah. No, you're doing great. Go ahead and, yeah. Great. So go ahead and do a little bit of starboard move there. So
Starboard lateral.
I'll actually have you rotate
Adjust
your
heading.
heading.
Okay.
The laterals are a bit weaker and a bit slower.
Gotcha.
So keep you on course.
Oh, there's some substrate there.
Keep
Tapping a
pushing it.
rock.
How's the heading here?
That's good. That'll meet
Okay.
you up kind of nicely
Yeah,
here.
roger. Oh, is that a rock in front of us?
Looks like
All
something
right,
weird.
we found a
Go ahead
rock.
Oh,
and
wow.
Big rock.
water a bit.
Come up in the water a bit.
Looks like a big chunk of limestone
Go ahead and
broken
change
off
your
from the
heading
atoll.
Changing heading to starboard,
to the left. Go ahead and
to
take a
port.
look at it.
Got a few corals on the bottom
I'm gonna turn porch on.
and on top.
Okay. Little bottle on the bottom.
Yeah. Glass bottle.
So I'll have you come up and then go around.
Up and around?
Mhm.
Okay.
So it gives you an idea what limestone textures look like when they're not covered in ferromanganese.
Which means like lateral to port. I mean, sorry, starboard.
Yeah.
Is there a shallowest depth that ferromanganese stops
good.
depositing at?
That's a great question, and there is, and I don't know what the answer
And
is.
actually, I'll have you change your heading now to starboard.
Yep.
And then go drive ahead on that. We'll get you out ahead. Chris, you want to do 0.3 knots, please?
Bridge nav, 0.3 knots.
We're starting to see some interesting features coming up in sonar anyway.
Interesting view from Atalanta with the ridge in the center of the screen there.
Yeah. All right, so go ahead and rotate your heading a little bit
Rotate to starboard.
to starboard.
Okay.
And then go ahead and drive ahead on that heading.
Driving ahead. I'm going to come down a little bit.
No, you're okay for there.
Okay.
You can see the feature is off about 20 meters, but it's
Oh, wow.
looking a little bit upper, like a little bit higher.
Right.
Oh, this is cool. Okay, yeah, get a little bit lower. Sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, I want to see this.
I might turn porch off so we can see into the distance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
Look at that.
These are some ancient karst
Right.
features here.
Karst.
Okay, keep on moving a little bit.
Partial
wanna
dissolution of
watch the
limestone
vehicles in
and
this
thin
valley.
layers of fossil coral reefs
Coming
deposited
up.
on top of each other.
This is awesome.
Yeah. And then note that you're going to have something off to your both sides of you.
Roger.
So does this mean the water level was shallower and the corals were growing at this depth, or is it sinking?
No, it's
A
not
little of each. At some point, there was probably a coral reef at this depth in this area, and then through time, this sunk enough where this got drowned out. But when we hit towards waypoint 2, it's an area where it's managed to stay above.
All right, I'll have you pull out a bit faster here,
Roger.
especially because that target's coming up in sonar for
Yes.
Kylie.
It's coming up here, so you gotta lift up to
Lift.
get up over this.
Lifting up.
Great. It's a very interesting feature.
Yeah.
Nice. Now you're getting a good distance out.
Okay.
So I'll have you keep going just the way you are.
Yep.
And then at 45, I'll have you switch over with Kylie.
Party time.
All right.
Kylie's going to go party mode on us.
Too fast, too furious.
Maverick.
Very cool. Well, I'm glad this is not just flat sediment now.
Yeah.
Ooh, we have an eel over there.
Yeah. So I'll have you keep a good scan on the sonars.
Yep.
So you can see there's a wee feature coming up for Kylie.
Okay. So that means you want me to come up a little bit more?
No, you're okay. Kylie's coming up on the delta a wee bit.
Okay.
We'll
Yep.
see if it clears it. She will.
Do you have pennies to zoom in on the puffballs?
Yep.
Right here in front of us?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right below the lasers.
Okay.
Oh, there's a octocoral.
Yep, these are an octocoral. These are, I think this is the same
You go half zoom.
metallogorgia that they just sampled on the last watch. But there were a couple other little fans on that giant boulder. So there's going to be
go
some more
full.
stuff in the area.
Oh, sorry.
All good.
It's, I'm not anchored.
It's all good.
It's quite a little push.
Okay. It's all good.
Okay,
I'll
come
probably
on.
get ahead again.
Yeah. Do you want to take it so you can have some more time to get some better shots here?
No, 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 all good. After this, Kylie's going to switch, and then
All right.
I'll touch the sticks for about a total of 30 minutes today.
Sorry, Jess.
No, no,
She already sat in the seat.
I sit in the seat enough. Yeah, that's good.
She's sharing.
This is really an awesome learning experience here. Thanks for putting up with me, guys.
No, you're doing
Yeah,
great.
you're
Great.
fantastic.
Gibson.
Yeah.
So push up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question about
Should come
karst.
to port a bit.
I'm thinking of Florida, because Florida is made out of limestone, right?
Correct.
So would there be karst structures in the
Roger.
like aquifer or like water?
Yeah, so Florida has probably the most famous karst structure, which are sinkholes, where you have groundwater basically dissolving out tunnels beneath the earth, and then sometimes it collapses into the tunnels. So if you ever seen dramatic videos of sinkholes opening up in Florida, as a direct function of karst topography. There's also some different types of... what was that? Has been.
Piece of PVC?
Yeah, some kind of pipe.
Or might be metal.
All right.
Yeah,
come on.
probably not PVC. Most of this is going to be,
Okay,
I don't know,
I'll be pushing
1940s,
ahead again.
50s.
Roger.
A bunch of trash here.
Yeah, I wonder if it was dumped here, or if this is just where, due to storm currents, you have a lag deposit where you have the heaviest material getting deposited in a layer.
Roger. I'll have you keep pushing ahead at a good clip. One thing to keep in mind is that if we see, when we start seeing a lot of debris and trash from people,
Yeah.
always a thing to keep an eye out for.
Lines and
Lines, yeah.
Roger.
Spoken to someone who's gotten caught up in line before, you don't want that experience.
Gotcha. I do not.
Following up on that, Anya, the karst terrain in Florida is why it is like one of the most spectacular places on the planet to cave dive, is because there are these freshwater caves and underground rivers that, with a lot of advanced training, you can scuba dive in and be underground and underwater, actually within the karst. In the aquifer.
That's cool.
Yeah.
There's an enemy.
Fly trap?
Fly trap style, yeah.
Cool. Okay. Come on.
Who's going to do a DVL reset, please? Okay.
Yeah, I gotta say, moving along at like going slow is one thing, but as soon as you have Atlanta chasing you down, it changes a lot of things.
Yeah. Oh, there's a different type of fish over there.
Yeah.
Can we go zoom on that guy?
Yeah, you bet.
Oh, look at that.
Okay, you can go half.
Oh, pretty.
Kind of looks like a goldfish.
Come in a little more if you want.
Those are the most like tropical coral reef looking fish I think I've ever seen Hercules look at.
Has very big eyes.
Who are you?
It looks so much bigger in the distance.
And put lasers on to see how
Oh, it is pretty
big
big.
it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep,
Like
it's
30
big.
centimeters
It's a big
maybe?
old goldfish.
Yeah, wow.
I think
Look
it's
at its shadow.
All right,
Beryx
I'll have you get ahead
splendens.
here, and then,
Roger.
Beryx, fine.
Okay,
I'll
you
hand
can come
over
wide.
to Kylie.
Yep, that looks like it.
Want to hand over here?
I'll have you go ahead here.
Okay, copy that.
Hand over in ideal conditions, so as I'm running up behind you, there's a second for us to switch seats.
Gotcha.
Yeah. These look like cool features.
So I got 4 meters of 5 meters altitude here.
Great. Yeah, you can go ahead and hand over. And Kylie, I'll have you fly out there and look at that. That stuff's cool.
Roger.
So good here?
Yeah, that's perfect there.
All right. Should I put autos on?
I'll just keep you on auto heading because
Okay.
you'll probably just wag over the cliff there. Nicely done.
Thank you.
Nice job, Gibson.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Good
Yeah.
job.
Sorry, I can't get my... Thanks, guys.
Who would have done that?
So now that we're getting into these step features, we might want to move in steps rather than a continuous line, so we can zoom in on these ledges.
That sounds wrong.
Chris, what's up with the ROV nav?
He's looking at something. The DVL offset?
Rog. Negative.
It'd be a little weird for me.
I mean, if it's really mission critical, then we can always stop the ship, Chris. But it seems like we've been flying.
Change the value for...
Rog.
So we're looking to slow down here, move into steps instead of a continuous track,
Okay.
so we can zoom on these ledges and look at the different cores coming off them.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
Do you want me to hold position now and let things start to settle out so we can start moving to steps, or?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Bridge nav, hold position.
And then if we're able to zoom in on these yellow cores on the ledge.
Video zoom. Just hold that for a second.
So for people tuning in and asking who was that trainee, that was Gibson Clark, our ROV engineering intern.
Okay, let's see if we can get some polyps.
Do you have any idea what it is?
I have no idea what that is, other than I think it's a
Come out a little.
coral little.
Thanks, that's good.
Got Steve frantically typing in the chat.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come up a bit.
So it's a type of chrysogorgia that was collected in
Come
2019.
wide. Thank you.
Shot on Argus.
Yeah, beautiful imaging. I
Got
don't
more
like
of these metallogorgias hanging in space.
These are so interesting with the sediment just kind of like poured down over the steps.
Yeah.
Halothurian.
It's kind of a white coral in the middle. Yeah, right there.
Oh yeah. Look how cool these shelves are. Wow.
Yeah, there's some steep gullies.
Let me know if you want any zooms on
Yeah,
Atalanta.
just give me. Oh, Roger. You know, I'm gonna take a zoom on Herc.
Do you want the lasers off, Kylie?
Leave them on for just a second.
Roger.
Yeah. Okay, I'm good with off.
It's a little
Lasers off.
primnoid of some sort.
Sorry.
It's bouncy. Sorry. Come wide.
Kylie, you mind if I push it on Atalanta?
Oh, go for it.
Go ahead, Tim. You want to push it on Atalanta?
Pushing in on Atalanta.
Looks like another maybe penitula, a longer one hanging off.
Yep.
The step below.
Really good Atalanta view. That's awesome. Channel 2.
Yeah.
Sorry.
This thing looks like almost like knife edges.
Yeah.
There's a cucumber showing you the dance of its people.
Another little valley hole.
Oops. Sorry.
Okay, Kevin, so how would this form with all these layers? Talk us through it.
It's very kind of representing generations of different coral going on top of each other. What exactly causes it to differentially erode like this, so you have more distinct and less distinct layers, I don't know for sure. Could be passive groundwater flow, it could be different densities of sedimentation in between the coral layers. And then the large feature being carved out is probably, it could have formed like that, or it could have collapsed at some point.
Cool.
Or you could have more acidic kind of channels of water coming through different areas.
Our starboard cam is awesome. So many features.
Yeah.
So how long
Just
would
put
it
on
have
the chopper.
taken for these features to kind of,
Grow?
yeah.
Hundreds of thousands of years, probably, to millions. Depends on the region. Sometimes coral reefs can grow pretty fast. Sometimes they're slower, so I don't know exactly. Certainly not an expert on that. Can we have a zoom on whatever's underhanging
Sure. let me
over
just-
this thing? Looks like an anemone, probably closed up. Or a fly trap.
It's a fly trap
I
anemone.
think so. Yeah, there was one on the top of the ledge also.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
partial
yeah.
zoom.
Partial zoom.
Yep. A fly trap anemone.
Okay, come wide.
Come wide.
So Kevin, do you use the same techniques to age these rocks as you're using with the others?
Great question, and no. So these rocks, since they precipitate biologically directly from the water column, they're hard to date using most methods. Particularly, they're difficult to date using what I use, which is argon geochronology, because potassium is not compatible in these in calcium carbonates. So +1 cation phases don't like to fit into where calcium is, which is a +2. So you don't get potassium really into these features, and there's relatively low potassium in the seawater already. They can be dated using different techniques, typically not too far back in time for most techniques, but you can look
Can you
at
zoom on
the
that?
fractionation of radioactive uranium and thorium isotopes. That fractionate when in seawater, when they form, they kind of reach an equilibrium. So
Sorry, Kevin. So we want to start taking steps just
Yeah.
in the direction of waypoint 2.
correct.
Okay.
Okay, come wide.
Are we in a position where we might be able to sample a small piece of that coral?
The iridescent?
Yeah.
In a minute, maybe.
Yeah, Chris, you want to get us a wee bit closer? So that when she comes down, we don't stretch the tether over the ledge.
I'm just gonna take a look over here while we're setting the ship
Reach
up.
nav, 10 meters, 095.
Thank you.
So what would be intriguing about Untitled at this depth versus where we've collected the others?
This
Yeah,
particular
10
one
meters, 095.
is a species that is of interest because it's got a morphology that's kind of halfway between two different species. So we'd like to get a little more genetic sampling on it.
Meredith, will this be a snip and slurp once we get over there?
Yeah, this would be a snip and slurp.
Okay, Roger.
So one of the ways you can tell the age of these limestones is the actual rock is going to be composed of various fossils, essentially. It's going to be all micro shells from
Okay,
foraminiferas, from coccolithopores, from mollusks,
that looks
etc.
better.
Looks cool.
And some of those fossils might be distinct index, what we call index fossils.
Wait a little longer.
That,
Oh, good.
fossils have a distinct
Oh, yeah,
shape
you're
and
good.
size, and that existed for a brief period of time, or some known period of time. And so you can look at these layers, the rocks, and if there's certain fossils within it, you know, say, perhaps it existed between 34 and 40 million years ago, something like that.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, Raj,
That's
just
called
keep looking a little bit,
biostratigraphy.
and then as you get closer, head back down. No problem, just making sure. Just use Hercules like a flashlight right now.
You want to go ahead and push it in on Atalanta cam again there, please? Does this remind anyone else of ice cream? Because
Nope.
Nope, new topic.
It's reminding me of that pastry we had maybe last week with the flakes.
The layers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah. Do you remember?
yeah.
Yes.
Little Danish croissant, like pastry flakes.
Like a phyllo sort of
Yeah.
pastry.
This is a cool, very cool shot.
I didn't realize that you're almost in a slot canyon here.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay, let's go get a coral.
You want to come wide on Atalanta there, please, for a minute?
We're chatting with Steve, and there may actually be 2 corals of interest there.
Raj.
Roger.
Weren't we just talking about Mario Kart the other night? Because this is feeling a little too real.
Is it that one to the left there?
I think it's further up. It's iridescent.
Raj.
It's on that stump that we saw, yeah.
Yeah,
It's not a stump, but, you know, maybe it's a rock, whatever.
but these are new tracks here.
All right, Raj, I'm back up.
Chris, can we get one more move in that general direction, please?
Yep. Bridge nav, 10 meters, 095.
If anybody sees it, please let me know.
Keeping my eyes open.
Is that it right there?
There's a rock sort of embedded in the wall right
Oh,
of center.
that one over there.
Oh.
That's right below me, isn't
Oh,
it?
there it is.
Yeah.
You can see it's the little fluff just coming off the rock.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you mind if I rack back?
No, go for it.
You can actually just make it out in the Atalanta view too.
Oh, yeah. All right, that is full rack back. I'll have you kind of nudge into the wall to the left, if you don't mind. And I'm going to look a little down on your camera.
Roger.
Here's a question in the chat. How soft would this limestone be? Would it be easily able to collapse or not really?
It can collapse. It's kind of built on top of itself, so it's not necessarily collapse. But if you grab this with your ROV claws, you can break off a piece.
Are
It's
you
definitely
stable
much
there, or are you,
softer than...
Stable-ish.
Okay.
It's
Trying
lithified, but
to be
it's
stable.
Raj.
much softer than the basalt or ferromanganese we've been dealing with.
I'm going to switch over cameras.
Sure.
So you're going to lose your starboard rail now. All right. Go ahead and push it on in. You want to push it on Herc first. Thank you. All right, so... Oh,
Just a little clip off the top would be great. We're just looking for a genetic confirmation sample.
sure thing. And look a little down on the camera again. That's great. I'm going to push a little bit on the sticks. I'll just hold the scrib until
Push it on me or push it on Zoom?
you... Oh yeah, you want to come a little wide there, full wide. Okay, good. And
Coming down.
yep. Okay, let me know when you're stable.
That was good.
All right. Please go ahead and push it on the Zoom there, please. That's good. Oh. Come wide. Maybe I'll have you just touch your toe to the left there, Kylie. Or maybe I can get it here. That should be good. Great.
Okay, I'm going to back up.
Perfect.
Roger. I'm halted here.
Okay, I'm going to run the hydraulics on the flush.
Roger.
You can. Flush is flushed.
Raj.
I stepped it in one.
Oh, your flush is
Oops,
still on.
Raj.
It's still on.
I gotcha, but... Is there anything in 3?
Nope.
Great. Go ahead and push on in there, please.
20%.
Roger. I'm going to boost it up a wee bit there. Thank you.
Oh, just 30%.
Yeah.
Down a little bit.
Ugh. 4. You want to kick it up to like 60, please? Thanks. Not really liking the way this is going to go in.
I can see it getting sucked in.
Yeah, we might not get all of it in there though this way, but we'll try. Do a light grasp open. I think that was it, right?
There's a little bit more in your hand on the backside.
All right, it's in there. Just shake it out.
Okay.
This is sample
wide,
170.
170.
Thank you. Nice flying.
No problem. Is there another sample?
The chat has a little bit of a delay, so I'm not. I wasn't seeing what they're talking about. We are keeping our eyes out for either a white plexaurid or a white primnoid, another small one, but I didn't see it there, so we can kind of keep moving in steps, and I'll holler if I see another one.
Okie dokie.
Roger.
What direction are we going?
095.
095, Raj.
I'll start facing that direction.
Can you come wide on Atalanta? I just check that you are. I think you might be.
Atalanta's full line.
Roger.
Really beautiful layering to this limestone.
Yeah.
Very consistent.
Kevin, do you think there might be any caves around?
There could be. Probably nothing huge, like a system, but there might be voids.
Chris, you want to begin a move there?
Yep, you guys ready?
Yeah, you can go ahead and call it in, and then we'll
Alright.
pull ahead.
Bridge nav, 20 meters, 095.
Follow-up question, Kevin. Do you ever tend to see cave systems on atolls like this?
It has been reported. I don't work on any shallow atoll systems, so I haven't personally seen them, but I know they've been reported. And near the actual subaerial portion where it can be exposed during sea level lows and drowned during sea level highs, you certainly get caves. There are areas in Guam where you can sample spearwithms, and you have to dive into, basically, start off scuba diving to get into the cave, and then you come up above the water level, you know, under the island, and you can get these cool stalactites and stalagmite samples. So there are cave systems on a lot of these islands. It's just they're usually in the shallower regions.
It's really fascinating. How about these rocks that look like they're embedded? They don't look like they're limestone, but maybe they are.
Yeah, they're confident they're limestone, most likely limestone. They probably just came off the steeper atoll, so we're not into the steep wall of the atoll yet. This is kind of like a older reef system that didn't make it. It didn't keep up with sea level as the island subsided. So I'm guessing those are, rocks that came down from the steeper walls.
Is that a big shadow or just some
Like
sediment?
dirt, right? I don't know. I'm gonna just
It's probably a scouring
check
of the
all
sediment.
this out.
We've got Ken Sulek, our fish expert, in the chat, and he's provided us with some facts about that large-scale lanternfish. It says it's a midwater fish, and the scales are actually transparent with a layer of silvery guanine underneath, which yields that mirror-like reflection. The fish also has horizontal photophores, and says that it's usually a pelagic fish, but the large adults will drop out of the water column and become more benthic as they get old. They descend from midwater and spend their time as bottom-dwelling fish. And we also have Stia saying that with the O2 getting lower, we're going to see a lot more animals that are just smaller, and peeking under the little ledges when we have opportunities is a great way to look at them.
Is that a crinoid?
That is a crinoid.
Ooh, swimming crinoid.
Cool.
Those are another one of my favorites.
Yeah, they're cool.
I like all the number of favorites you got
I
going
have
on
a
there
lot of
too.
favorites, and this one looks like it's got something else going on.
Chris, you want to call in another move there?
Yeah.
So we'll just keep
Bridge
them coming
nav,
in.
20095.
So this area that we're looking at now, is it a channel that we're looking at? Because there's like, we're in between two areas.
It's definitely like a channel now. Whether it eroded this out later or the actual limestone had this channel from the beginning, it's hard to tell. Because sometimes reef systems can just grow, precipitate and form their own channels. But yeah, right now it's certainly a channel where it seems like water is moving through it. Not at a high current. You don't see any ripple or anything on the bottom. Well, a little bit of ripples, but not much. But yeah, that's a good question. So here you can see the horizontal ripple marks, so the water is going to be moving perpendicular to those orientated of the ripples, so down into the channel. There's a few more kind of stony coral, limestone boulders.
Fly trap an enemy.
So, Kevin, we've been asked from the video folks ashore to do a short map of something.
A short map?
Yes.
Yeah, this would be a cool feature to map out.
Yeah, that's... Do you want to try this, or do you want to wait for something, or...?
Yeah, let's try this one.
Okay. Does that sound good to you guys?
What do you need me to do?
All right. Hang out there for a second. Let me stop the ship. Bridge nav, hold position.
There's like another iridescent on the bottom.
So I think maybe what we'll try to do is...
Yep, that's another iridescent.
I'm going to... Can you, like, just pop up so we can get... Well, I guess we have...
Sure.
Well, this is... We're actually in a pretty good position. So I think maybe what we'll do is sort of come up a little higher, do a pass on the left side of it, do a pass on the right side of it, and then do a lower pass flying up the center, because that way we can get more of the inside of the feature.
I'm not sure I'll fit through that little bit right there.
Well, you don't need to go inside of it, but like
Okay.
if you're lower, we can see into it a little better.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just get the vehicles as close as we can without putting them in danger.
Right. So I'm going to move Atalanta down just a bit.
I mean, Kylie can always just fly back along the contours as she came, right? So there's...
Yeah, I want to get centered up on the feature, though.
Okay.
Like, I want to be, like, ideally, I'd like to be directly on top of it so we can have maximum distance on either side without having to do a bunch of...
Sure thing.
I mean, we're pretty close already.
Yep.
What is that? Yeah, I mean, 5 meters would do it. We can continue while it's working. Bridge nav, 5 meters, 180. Okay, so the way that we've done this in the past was to go behind Atalanta as far as we can, then go forward till we run out of tether, scoot over, turn around, go back the other way as far as we can.
Is there a max velocity that you need there, and is there a max step size, as in when we go translate to the left or to the right?
Velocity doesn't really matter, and we'll do the step based on coverage.
Okay.
So I'll let you know once we get there.
And this is one for Norbit. You guys don't want auto XY nor auto depth, correct?
Auto XY is fine. Auto depth I don't want.
Okay.
Okay.
Just, yeah, I mean, it doesn't even matter. Like, if it comes up and down a little, that's okay. It's just important that we don't get in this, like, oscillation thing.
Yep, totally.
So.
Agreed.
Okay. Well.
So we'll have Carly's kind of set up to the bottom, and then just go translate to the top, and then scoot over. Okay.
Yep.
So go forward?
I think we'll start from the bottom, like here-ish.
Okay, you want to look down for me and I'll just back up?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then usually when we do transects on the pass, we just put in auto XY and then did the...
Forward, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speeds don't really matter, just stability matters.
Yeah.
So auto heading is important too, so we don't, because you don't want to stack up points as the vehicle twists around.
Totally. Spoken like a true mapping expert that we are here. No, that sounds awesome.
We're figuring it out as we go. Just sort of the incidental map we've collected is super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
look at that.
I just put it up on channel 3 on the quad view.
I'm going to rotate my heading around 90 degrees, Kylie, just so you have good visuals.
Yeah, it's handling these steep cliffs better than I thought it would. And overhangs.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and the modeling techniques that we use
afterwards should be able to handle that as well. So
do you want us to go another tether length this way, Chris, to get kind of all of this valley? See what I'm saying?
well, I mean, the valley just kind of goes on forever. So wherever we start, I think it's okay. Because I don't know that there's anything that we really want to see in particular other than just like trying to map this feature. So
Okay, yeah, sounds good. And then do you want us to start upslope of this a little bit to the left?
yes, and we'll probably do higher altitude for the first first couple passes, and then we'll do like a low like this altitude. We'll do one pass straight up the center, sort of manually fly it so you stay in the middle of the feature.
Sure thing. And then what's the preferred altitude for us? It'd be about 10 meters off for Kylie.
Yeah, 10 meters is probably about right.
Okay.
For this feature. Let's see. Let me get a few things set up here.
Yeah.
So Kevin, I'm kind of looking at the, I guess the profile that Chris has up on his Norbit sonar. To the shelves kind of like dive in to either side into this channel. Would that indicate whether or not it had been eroded, or?
Yeah, it might.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know enough about, I'm not an expert on it, to what the actual geomorphic signatures are, but things like that are good observations.
Well, yeah, we need to come up yet, but in like
No,
X, Y.
I did have my altitude and it changed. So, yeah.
Taken?
To the left. Or more to the left. Because I don't know. It's up to you. You tell me.
That's probably pretty good. And this, let's see, what's our swath width? It's about 40 meters to either side, so about 100 meter swath width. So I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, let me start the recording. Just sort of sit for you for a second. We'll let things stabilize.
Yeah. Just do the steps, yeah. That's fine. Velocity slow, step a meter. And just going forward, forward, forward. Oop, not that.
Oh, wait, hang on a second.
50?
Did something wrong?
Okay. You mean adjust it manually? You don't mean the button, right? Right. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, maybe we should step over a little bit and
More left.
just to try to get a little better Doppler lock. I mean, this might just be the one spot we're standing, but it's not super happy here.